This is Henares making your day with part 6 of Philippine history, chapter The Chinese Imperialists. As late as 1795, the Chinese emperor was prevailed upon to meet and accept an English ambassador. He acted as if it was a hell of a nuisance and much in the nature of pure nonsense. But if it made the barbarian feel good, he, the Chinese emperor, supposed he ought to do it. But this tremendous self-containment is precisely why the Chinese are among the world's greatest traders. They do not attempt to proselytize. They have no mission. Their business is to trade, and they stick to their business. Quite unconsciously, in fact, before the West verbalized it, the Chinese practiced commercial imperialism. Very much like the British, they went together with their capital to manage it. They formed foreign settlements, and while the West boasted about inventing the installment plan, the Chinese have been practicing it for centuries. From time immemorial, from wholesale to retail, the Chinese merchant let his customer the money to pay for his goods, to be paid with what his customer produces. Rightly or wrongly, there is a feeling that the Chinese merchant has an abacus where he should have a heart. For the privilege of trading, the Chinese community is willing to pay the privilege of government, in short, to corrupt it. This practice was also done in the West, but the difference with the Chinese is threefold. First, there is no hypocrisy about it. Second, it is taken as a norm of business. And third, as our businessmen have urgently and correctly observed, it is impossible to do business without it. There is something serio-comic in the bloody history of the European empires of the past 5 centuries. Only in the last half of the 20th century has there been a glimmering of what the Chinese have known and practiced for at least a millennium. The truth is that the last thing in the world an expansionist people should want is control of a foreign government. In simplest terms, government is a liability. The assets are in trade, profitable trade. In everyday terms, who in his right mind would be willing to assume the cares and costs of maintaining the police and the fire departments of a city if he could achieve instead the operation of its profitable department stores? More about this after these messages. This is Henares making your day with part 6, chapter The Chinese Imperialists. The Chinese overseas traders have realized this for untold centuries. Unobtrusive, low profile, it is they who have been the great imperialists, eschewing the glory, even accepting insult, but adamantly adhering to their own customs, proselytizing nothing but the sale of their goods, spinning their silken threads of credit to monopolize trade, to bind by debt as completely as ever a serf was bound to land, virtually unnoticed in the many countries. They ensconce themselves in the wholesaling, retailing, and banking, which is nothing more or less than the economic circulatory system of any body politic. With almost extrasensory perception, they expanded. They were here before the advent of the Spaniards. They came in droves later, and a Chinese-Spanish trade developed through the Manila galleon. It was extremely profitable all around. Although early in the game, the Spaniards marred the occasion by suddenly opening up with artillery on the Chinese outside the walls of the Parian Gate in Intramuros, with the result that 24,000 Chinese suddenly joined their hallowed ancestors. But this occasional and sporadic pogrom against the Chinese infidels forced the Chinese to integrate into the Philippine society by intermarriage and Hispanizing their names, giving us the Chaucos, that means my wife, the Seasons, the Lims, and the Tangcos. Ours is the only society that was able to absorb the sons of Ham. Everywhere else, they formed separate communities and prospered as a separate class. Fully 10% of the bloodline of the Filipinos is Chinese. As a people, we're lighter, more chinky-eyed than our Malayan brothers in Malaysia and in Indonesia. The Chinese are part of us. Their economic roots in the Philippines are as manifold as those of the mangrove tree. More tomorrow, my dear friends. This is Lara Henares, making your day say good day. God bless you. Thank you very much for being with us. Till next time, hasta la bye-bye.